I got a question from one of you that I think is a great way to illustrate the common mistakes that I've made while I'm setting up a custom character for CTA4. So let me pull this up with permission. This is the character file that I got from this gentleman, in fact. So here's the character. Let me open it up, and if I go straight into Cartoon Animator, he says it doesn't work. And so if I drag this in, it'll open it up in the composer mode, and you see some issues here. The first thing that I've learned as I've done this is if you ever see a gray bone, that means there's not a sprite assigned to it in Photoshop. So in this case, it's the head area. There's something missing there, and I'll show you. We'll go into Photoshop and show you what's going on there. So that's the first thing, and then we'll address this here, which is the back hair. So I'm going to go into Photoshop. Let me close that one. Open up the one that I just downloaded. And when I first started, I made this mistake. In fact, if I hurry and open up one of my YouTube videos, this is a perfect example to illustrate what happened when I tried to do exactly what this gentleman is doing with his video. So let me go to my channel, and you can check this out on your own. Turtle. There it is. So watch this turtle's head as it plays here.
Wow, that's hilarious. Yes, sir. Pancake's coming right up. Trust me, you can animate the first time too.
Okay, so if you noticed, his head is a bobble head. It's bobbling, and it's because when I took the Reallusion template, it had this bone right here, this head node bone up here, and what that does is it's like hanging the head on a hanger, and it kind of wobbles instead of, let me just show you here in a talking head, instead of going here and being the pivot point, it does this and it wobbles. So that was the first thing I learned, trial by error, because I trusted the Reallusion template. And what finally taught me the correct way is something I teach in my tutorial, my lengthy tutorial on the baby character, is it actually needs to come down here. And so if I move this head bone to right where the head starts, and then if I turn off the face or the head, this bone needs to be the pivot point on the head where it joins the neck. And so right now your neck is missing, this gentleman's neck is missing a portion. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill it in. I'm going to grab my brush tool. I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. No, we'll go smaller. I'm going to get that color there. And I'm going to create, because this won't show, but let me turn up my opacity. Hardness. There we go. Okay. So now, the reason I did that on the hip layer, because that's part of the hip, is when I turn on the face, this bone, so I can just move this to where the head overlaps the neck. That's the head bone. Here's the neck bone. Okay, and it just needs to be somewhere at the bottom of the neck. This bone, the head nub, you would think it'd be at the top of the head, and that's what Reallusion's template that I used had set up, and so it confused me forever, and that's what you saw in the turtle, but it actually needs to be at the top of the neck, and it needs to overlap the neck, so it has to be. So now if I hit save, let me come into here. I'm just going to replace this whole one by using this button there, and I'm going to replace the full actor. That should fix the head issue. Perfect. See how it's fixed the head? No. So if I now zoom in a little bit and go preview, now, oops, that's wrong. We're not going to have the bobble issue. In fact, if I go back and just use a predefined animation cycle here, let's just go in here. Let's do, sure. Let's just see what happens if I do anger. Yeah, see, that's correct. We've got some other issues that we're going to address real quick. So I appreciate you sending me this file, because this has helped me. It's brought me back to all the mistakes I used to make. So real quick, let's address the next one. Where are those eyes? Let's go into his Photoshop file. And let's go look at his eyes. So we have his left eye, normal, and his eye closed. So we have a problem here. And the reason it's a problem is it looks like you didn't use the exported version from Cartoon Animator. What do I mean? So in my tutorial, I show you how to do this. So check that out. I'm going to delete this character. I'm just going to add in one of Real Illusion's working characters. And I think this is the best place to start for anybody going at this. Use their characters. Okay, you're going to feel a little overwhelmed. That's going to teach you so much. So I'm going to use Martha. Very good. I'm going to go to Composer mode. And I'm going to launch PSD Editor. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to just do full size head and body in one file. It's just fine. So right away I'm going to click on the eye, and you're going to see what's the difference here. If I click on this gentleman's eye, he's got left eye normal, but if you look at Real Illusion's template right here, it has left eye normal, but he forgot to include iris, eye white, and mask. You have to have those 3 folders in there. So whenever I do a custom character, I always start with this template, whether it's Martha or a different one that they have. It doesn't matter. I always start with their template that works, because I know it works. I'm here and this works, and it's going to save you so much time and pain. Don't delete anything in here as far as folder structure is concerned. So now I know that you're missing these 3 folders. So I'm just going to drag these over, and there they are. And I'm going to actually put your eye in eye white. I'm going to delete the one I brought from Martha, the mask and the iris. So now watch what happens. So if I hit save and go back to here, and I'm going to close Martha, let's just drag in the one I just saved. Now that left eye will appear because it's in the proper folder structure. So that easy. That fix is super easy. Now that eye's in place, and you just need to make sure things are in order. And just looking at this, there's a couple other things that would have helped me as I've gone through this. So if I just go to preview, first of all, layers. Let's try and talk about layers. So on Photoshop, whatever you layer this as, it's going to show up the same in Cartoon Animator. Now I can move this behind his sleeve in the layer manager. Let me just show you that. Collapse. I'm on preview mode. That's why I couldn't do it. Collapse. And I can move this behind his sleeve. Now it's behind. But rather than do that, I like to perfect everything here in Photoshop, because I'm already here and I'm already working on it. So all I need to do is make sure I move that left hand under the left arm. That folder, right hand under the right arm. And then it looks like it's above the thigh, and that's I always put my arms behind the thigh. I'm not sure how yours is set up, because I want that arm right here. See how they're in front? Let me just show you. I'm going to go ahead and save my PSD. And same with the talking head. If I come in here, just kind of bear with me as I go through this pretty quick. These are just tips. It looks like the face is there, and then we've got the left and right ear are on top of the face. So I'm going to go ahead and move those behind the face right there. So when I import it, it looks like I need to do, well, it depends. Those are nice sideburns. I actually like that better than having it behind, but it looks like you meant to have that. No, it says front hair. So the point is to structure it here in Photoshop, layer it here, and then when you import it, it's going to be properly layered here. So let me go ahead and import this anew. Replace the full character, actor, close, boom. So now these arms should be behind the hip. Looks like maybe they didn't. Let me just see if this is something else that we can learn together. I'm always learning something new. And for some reason, did I not put those? Let me just check. Photoshop, character. Oh, I didn't put them underneath the thigh. So see how I didn't put them there? So I'm actually going to put everything underneath the thigh there. There we go. Save. I just didn't do it. I don't know why. I thought I did. So let's replace the full actor. It confused me. Hit OK. Close. Now, when I go into Layer Manager, Let's collapse. Where's my thigh? My hip layer. It should be there, but for some reason it's not. And you can just rearrange it here. Oh, it is actually. I see what's going on. I thought the shadow should go all the way up, but it looks like the arms in front of it. So I'm probably going to edit this out. So going back, so those are simple tips. A couple more, just looking at your character here, you know, working with legs. You're going to want to separate the hip. And again, another reason you should use examples like this. Let's just go see what Martha has for her shank. Yeah, so this is a great example. I'm going to turn off her left and right shanks. You need to follow this. It looks like you didn't follow this. You haven't seen my other tutorial, and that's okay. Go check it out. But you need to follow their template. Use this and just replace things. So in this case, I would take your leg, bring it on over, and I'd replace, and I work out where this goes for this left thigh. Over here, and then I do the same with the hips, because if you look at one of my characters, let me just show you an example. I think this is a good way to show you what you need to do, because I don't want to do it for you. American, let's go to the African girl setup. Girl rigged. So let's just pull up one of my rigged characters here. I always start with a base template, and the reason I do that, in fact, I'll pull up another one so you can see this. Docs, final, let's go to rigged, dad, and then let's go find my most recent one. Yeah, so here's my dad character, right? Let me find the right one right here. And the reason I always try to do the bare minimum in their underclothing or a swimsuit is then I can come back and I can do something like this and just add clothing separately. But if I can get this rigging working like this with the bare base layer, then I can come back and use that and save it for whatever. And so here is one outfit. I call it a jogger outfit. And you'll see with my characters, come back to my other character here. I have multiple clothing sets that I would like to use on each character. So if I have a base character set up, I can go back and quite easily and quickly just replace what needs to be replaced, you know, for the next outfit. And that's kind of the idea in the process flow, but I discussed that in my tutorial. It's a long tutorial, and I'm going to make another one on vectors. But check that tutorial. I'll put it in the link in the description as well. So that's my feedback on this. Some common mistakes people make, especially with the head bone, and making sure that it's in the right spot. And again, I was misled by one of Real Illusion's templates outside of doing it this way, where I just took a working character, and that's kind of how I approach this every day now. Is I always take something that's working perfectly here, and I love their functionality to export it and use that as a template rather than finding something that somebody's created outside of Real Illusion. Even Real Illusion's own template didn't work. The Illustrator one and the Photoshop one, it was kind of awry and didn't work. So I'll go ahead and upload this, and if you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments section or reach out if you're in one of the private Facebook groups. Thanks.